Right, so today we'll start with oxidation states. Let me go point by point. The common oxidation state the common oxidation state of 3D group is +2, and definitely transition elements show variable oxidation states. That means not just 2, it can show +3, +4, +6, +7 also. Why does this happen? It is because of d and s electrons, right? Both will be involved in the bonding here. Both, reason for this is both n-1d and ns electrons involved in bonding. If I just put the elements scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, you would see scandium is the only one which do not show +2 oxidation state, or I can say the +2 oxidation state is highly unstable for scandium. But from titanium onwards, all the elements do show +2 oxidation state. It may so happen few of them may be very stable, few of them may be less stable, but definitely +2 oxidation is observed, right? Along with this, we will also see +1 oxidation state for few elements here, okay, in which the most +1 oxidation state observed is for copper, okay, in few cases for chromium. Right? For these two, we would usually see +1 oxidation state. Other than that, if we check out +3, definitely scandium shows +3. This will show +3. Vanadium shows +3. Chromium shows +3. Manganese does show. Iron will show. Cobalt will show. Nickel will show. Not copper and zinc. And when it comes to +4, now there are no electrons for scandium, so it is not going to show +4. So here it will show +4, +4, +4, +4, +4, okay, and cobalt will show +4 and nickel will show +4. Then vanadium will show +5, okay, this will show +5, this will show +5, this will show +6, +6, and finally manganese will also show +7. Out of this, if you check out the less stable ones, okay, I will do it with another color. You can see iron with +4 oxidation state is less stable, so this color represent less stable ones, got it? And right, so this is less stable one. And similarly chromium does show all of them. So other than that, most of them will show these oxidation states which we have designated here, okay. Now if you observe, the most common oxidation states which you will find here out of all this are this ones, valence ones, because they have only 3 valence electrons, 4 valence electrons, 5 valence electrons, 6 valence electrons and 7 valence electrons. So these are their most common ones. So I'll write it here. This represents most common. Okay, while this color, sorry, this color is representing unstable. This is an unstable form. Okay, so these are their oxidation states. Correct. Now you can see copper and chromium does show an oxidation state which is different. You can see that it is showing +1 oxidation state and it is showing +1 oxidation state here. It is because of their configuration. Here also it will have 4s1 electron, here also it has 4s1 electron. So they will definitely lose out that electron to show that +1 oxidation state. I guess that is clear. Now coming to few other oxidation states which are very stable, if we observe that, out of which the first important one is chromium +3. Chromium +3 exists always as octahedral complex. In most of the cases it exists as octahedral complex. If it is an octahedral complex, which means if this is the d orbital and it has 5 degenerate electron or 5 degenerate orbitals, then as the ligands approach there would be splitting of orbitals here, right? We learned that already, and it will split into two set of new orbitals. One is called T2G and the other one is EG. Since +3 represent it has 3 unpaired electrons in D, the first 3 unpaired electrons will enter only T2G. Got it? And this shows that it can increase its, because 3 unpaired electrons are here, I can say that CFSE value is more negative. If it is more negative, it means it is very stable. So what you would observe is that this will become more stable. Got it? So CFSE values being more negative, hence we can say that D3 configuration due to its stable T2G half filled configuration is very stable. I guess you understood that, beta, right? Okay. Right. So that is an important aspect which you need to check out for chromium +3. Next, the similar thing can happen with D5 configuration also. Okay. So we can say here when it comes to manganese, if it is +2 oxidation state, okay, that will also have a similar identity here. So let me just copy from here itself. So most of the time this is also showing in octahedral complexes and it would have 5 electrons in it, correct? So because it is Mn +2, which means 4s2 and 3d 5, 4s will become 0 and 5 unpaired electrons will be left. So the unpaired electrons will enter into Eg so that everything will become half filled stable. So hence what you would observe here, this is the Mn +2 is stable oxidation state due to half fill stability in T2G and Eg. This is for complexes. Otherwise also, even if there are no complexes also, like in the case of MnO for example, here also it is stable due to d phi half fill stability. Okay. So in both the cases, whether it is complex formation or whether it is a simple molecule, covalent molecule, in either of the cases it is stable. This is what we usually observe. Okay. Not just that, its more stable oxidation state will also come from +4. So MnO4 also stable configuration due to high oxidation state on manganese, because as you reach towards +4 oxidation state, got it, the nuclear charge increases. So as nuclear charge increases, right, this is what we will usually see. Okay, but considering +4 and +2, +2 is more stable, so that's why MnO2 we usually see that it will decompose into MnO and nascent oxygen. Hence I can say this will act like an oxidizing agent. Have you understood that? Because it can release some nascent oxygens. Right? I hope you understood that. Right. Okay. Next important oxidation state is about copper. What you will observe here, due to high hydration energy, high hydration energy of Cu+2, okay, which compensates ionization energy 2, second ionization energy of copper, which is also very high value in fact. So Cu plus makes soluble salts and readily disproportionates in water. Basically what I meant is that if you take 2 Cu plus in H2O, correct, it would become Cu2 plus Cu. Okay. The reason being here is delta H hydration, okay, of Cu2 plus is higher compared to that of second ionization. Okay. Think about it. आयनाइजेशन करने के लिए अगर मुझे x एनर्जी चाहिए, राइट, एंड हाइड्रेशन बनने के लिए y एनर्जी चाहिए और हाइड्रेशन एनर्जी ज़्यादा है, सो डेफिनेटली इंस्टेड ऑफ remaining it as +1, it will change itself to +2 oxidation state. Right, beta? I hope you understood that. Although copper has very high ionization, but its hydration dominates over its ionization. That's why it happens. Okay. So I can say that copper 2 plus can be reduced. Copper 2 plus can be reduced into Cu plus in aqueous solution. Cu plus in aqueous solution. Okay. Now when would this happen? I mean, if at all we take copper 2 plus, when would usually this can happen here? This can happen only if copper plus forms either an insoluble salt, would form an insoluble salt, or a very stable complex. a very stable complex. In that case, this reaction would take place. What I meant to say, suppose if I take copper 2 plus, okay, and imagine I react copper 2 plus with I minus, right, then it would become Cu2I2. Reason being Cu2I2 is a stable complex, a stable insoluble salt. That plus I2, this is what you will see the overall reaction. So iodine get oxidized, copper will get reduced. Similarly, the same thing is seen with cyanide. With Cn minus, you would see CuCN precipitate is formed with Cn twice, which is known as cyanogen gas is released. Okay, very harmful gas. Cyanogen gas is a harmful gas and it is released in this case. Okay, same thing if you check out with SCN minus, you will have CuSCN, CuSCN, which is also a precipitate here, plus SCN twice. This is thiocyanogen gas, that is also a harmful gas. Okay, so I hope you understood that, right? Okay, both the cases, if you check out here, CuCN, okay, CuCN, which is a precipitate, but if you use excess, right, excess KCN, got it, excess KCN, this precipitate would form a complex which is K3 CuCN 4 times. This is what will take place, got it, and this is completely soluble and colorless, soluble and colorless. Is that clear? It is +1 ऑक्सीडेशन स्टेट, सो डेफिनेटली उसके पास कोई अनपेड इलेक्ट्रॉन्स नहीं है, दैट इज वाई इट इज कलरलेस. आई होप यू अंडरस्टूड दैट, राइट बेटा. ये जेई में 3-4 बार आ चुका है ये पूरा सेक्शन ऑफ रिएक्शन फ्रॉम हियर. Cu+2 फर्स्ट Cn माइनस के साथ क्या बनता है, फिर वो Cu एक्सेस के साथ क्या बनता है. देखो, CuCN is actually a black precipitate, got it, which makes a colorless solution, while here this is a white precipitate. So ये difference समझ लो दोनों में, समझे ना. whether it is thiocyanogen or cyanogen, ये भी समझना easy है, correct, understanding the precipitate. So it could be given a question like A giving B, B giving C, B is a white precipitate and then it will become a colorless solution. What are A, B, C, D, like that. These are the type of questions asked. I hope you understood that. Yeah. The similar logic what we have applied for copper is also valid for mercury. Okay, so let us make a note for mercury. For mercury, now what it is, Hg2 2 plus, here oxidation state of mercury is +1. This would also exist in equilibrium with Hg2 plus, got it, plus Hg. Okay, just if you go back here, we seen the similar thing, copper plus converting to copper 2 plus and copper. Okay, ये भी equilibrium में है, ये भी equilibrium में है, but this equilibrium is more onto the right hand side. Usually copper +2 easily बन जाता है. Reason being, you can check it out, hydration is very high compared to that of ionization. Yeah, but in the case of mercury, इसका equilibrium, it would have a good amount of equilibrium, as in the reaction would be on the left hand side, unless there is some motivation for Hg2 plus. And what the motivation is here, check out, this reaction moves towards equilibrium moves towards forward direction. It will move toward forward direction if this following criteria is met. First, insoluble compound with Hg2 plus. Second, highly stable complex forming. right? Whenever, please understand this, reaction will always drive to that side where a very stable molecule is forming. A stable salt can be formed either by precipitating itself or forming a complex. These are very stable form of salts, so they will always shift to that side. Okay, so for instance, if you have Hg2 2 plus and I treat that with NaOH. These are all very important reactions for कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम्स. यहाँ पे बहुत लॉजिकल क्वेश्चंस ही आएंगे, आपको देख के समझ जाना चाहिए दैट HgO is going to form with Hg as a precipitate. Got it? Similarly, if you take NH3, here, this will also form NH3 aqueous. If you take aqueous, it will still form HgO only, because Hg plus 2 will react with water more than ammonia, because it will make a very stable complex, very stable precipitate. Okay. Along with that, if you treat that with H2S, H2S will definitely form HGS precipitate plus Hg. Got it? What happens here? See, mercury is actually gray color, right? And when you have some other precipitate, most of the time it will make the solution black. Got it? So solution appears black or grayish black, if at all I say. Okay, is that clear, beta? Right? Okay. But in case if you treat that with direct Hg2 plus, Hg2 plus भी तो ये रिएक्शन होना चाहिए ना, सेम रिएक्शंस, बिकॉज ऑलरेडी बना बनाया मिल रहा है तो फिर तो रिएक्शन होगा ही होगा. गॉट इट? So in that case, if this reaction directly happens, we will have only this precipitate, correct? We will have only this type of precipitate. Now this is definitely black color. This is definitely black color, but HgO color we will discuss in a while, that it will change to yellow to red. How does it change? At what temperature that would happen? We will have a point of discussion. But HgS is a very black precipitate. Is this point is clear, right? Okay. So this is about the oxidation state of copper and mercury, which is important for exams. Next is, uh, stability of higher oxidation states. Higher oxidation states. So normally we so far checked out for low oxidation state, which is +1 +2. Okay. What happens if you have F minus and O2 minus? Got it? They can stabilize. These two ions can stabilize the higher oxidation state. They can stabilize the higher oxidation state. Okay. Got it? How can they stabilize? One, they would give a higher lattice energy, because if you have high positive and high negative charge, definitely the lattice energy will be high, because it will showcase a lot of ionic character. Okay. Second thing, it would have very high, okay, bond energy, very high bond energy between the metals due to low polarizability. Because fluorine and oxygen does not polarize at all. Got it? So they will also show high covalent character, because you can see the metal and fluorine and oxygen bonds would be highly covalent in that case. Okay, ionic is bringing the strength, beta, strength overall the molecule, right? Overall, because lattice is not just about molecular interaction between the molecules. It is within the molecule, but it is between the molecules. It is not within the molecule, but between the molecules. But within the molecule, if you have to be very strongly associated, then covalent bond makes it better. Okay, and along with that, if you compare F minus and O2 minus, O2 minus can be, okay, better, O2 minus can be better stabilizing than F minus, okay, due to higher lattice energy and formation of multiple bondings, multiple, or in short double bonding, multiple bonding happens here. Okay, let me showcase some examples. When it comes to vanadium, we can have VF5, highest oxidation state of vanadium, got it, and it will also show V2O5, highest oxidation state here also, got it. Chromium, it can show CrF6, it also has CrO3, which is +6 oxidation state. In case of manganese, right, we cannot see MnF7 forming, got it. So this formation is not observed, MnF7 is not observed, got it. But when it comes to oxygen, it can go up to Mn2O7 because it can exhibit multiple bondings, got it. uh, how much more it can show with fluorine is that it can become MnO3 and F, this can be shown, got it. But fluorine as alone, 7 fluorines, to associate with manganese is very difficult, okay, because it cannot polarize the manganese to +7 oxidation state. Oxygen can do because it will form multiple bonds, got it. Now think about it, if you have manganese with almost 7 fluorines, what would happen? There would be huge crowding, correct? So there will be huge crowding here. So because of the crowding, that molecule will be unstable, okay. But when it comes to Mn2O7, molecule structure would look like this, MnO and Mn, and because oxygen can have multiple bonds here, so you can see, because it can exhibit double bonds here, it can exist this way, so less crowding. So logic here is, okay, more fluorines, if associated, increases steric crowding, okay, because of which we do not see MnF7 forming, got it. Another important thing we need to note that VF5 also have enough crowding here, correct. That's why it is not very stable. So if you add it to water, immediately it will become O2 plus and F minus, O2 plus and F minus. This is called oxocation. Normally with oxygens we do not see cations, but you would see here this is an oxocation, okay. Now again reason is simple, O2 minus stabilizes over F minus. So that's why in water it gets dissociated this way. I guess you understood the higher oxidation states. Now this is what we discussed is about only from left to right, that is for 3D series. Now what happens if you go down the group? For higher oxidation state, you will see down the group, if you go down the group, stability of higher oxidation state increases, okay. Now what are the reasons for this? Now first reason is due to increase in Z effective. You know that as you go down the group, you started filling f orbital also, right? Now because of increase in Z effective, what happens? There will be contraction of size, and this is what we call it as lanthanoid contraction. So there won't be expected increase in the size of 4D and 5D series elements. Okay. So because it has an contraction of size here, so what would happen? Orbitals, orbitals, uh, sorry, orbital electrons in orbitals, electrons in orbitals involve in bonding easily, right? Because it is getting contracted here, they would have more repulsions within the molecule, right? Because if you have more number of electrons within a small vicinity, they will have more repulsions. So instead of staying repelled within the atom, they would rather involve in bonding. So that's how they get more stability. Got it? So more number of electrons involved, hence more stability. So two prime reasons. One is contraction, second one is its consequence. Okay. So if you check out this stability, check out the stability here. If you take CrO4 2 minus, which is plus 6 oxidation state, will be less stable compared to that of molybdenum O4 2 minus, less stable than tungsten O4 2 minus. This is in the chromium group. Which brings us to the idea that if you take oxidizing nature, since chromium is unstable, that would get easily reduced. So that would be more oxidizing compared to that of molybdenum O4 2 minus compared to that of tungsten O4 2 minus. So tungsten O4 2 minus is very stable in that case. Okay. Similar example can be seen here. Alright, so I'll call this as example A, example B. Similar example, what you'll observe is for manganese also. That is, MnO4 minus will be less stable compared to that of technetium O minus here and retutium O4 2 minus, right? Sorry, minus. We're talking about plus 7 oxidation state. Yeah, but oxidizing ebno minus in fact is the strongest oxidizing agent. We know that, correct? So this is the reason. I guess this is clear. There are certain cases where we have zero oxidation state also, which is nothing but carbonyl groups. So we can know that oxidation state, zero oxidation state or negative oxidation state of metals are stabilized by sigma donor and pi acceptor ligands like carbon monoxide. This is how the carbonyl compounds are formed. We have already seen that in coordination compounds like nickel CO4, FeCO5. They have zero oxidation state, but they are very much stabilized because of their synergic effect. So what is happening here, if you take metal, right, and these are all their orbitals, these are unhybridized orbitals. One orbital will be hybridized this way. This is an hybridized orbital with carbon monoxide, if you check out, right? So this is carbon monoxide, C triple bond O minus and plus, correct? And this carbon would have an antibonding orbital here, this way. These are the antibonding orbitals. So what we usually observe is that electrons from here keep migrating to this pi star orbitals, correct? So this is a pi bond formed between metal and pi star orbital of carbon, and then there is a sigma bond formation here. Got it. So this type of a bonding which happens is called synergic effect or synergic bonding. Bonding type is called synergic bonding. Got it. Mostly it occurs in carbon monoxide, NO and Cn minus. In these cases we will usually see this type of synergic bonding happens. Okay. So I guess you clear with the oxidation states. Now the next important aspect in this chapter is electrode potential. We need to learn about electrode potential, how it is changing, right? And in which there are two aspects, in which there are two types of reduction potentials we will see. First, if metal has +2 charge and reducing it to M, then we will see +3 to +2. So let us focus on this first. Now whenever we think about an oxidation potential or a reduction potential, right, we need to go through certain steps, theoretical steps, which we call it as Hess law. If you remember from thermodynamics, we call it as Hess law. Hess law is writing the theoretical steps to attain the overall reaction. Got it. So the overall reaction is that if we have M plus 2, right, aqueous plus 2 electrons, and it is becoming M solid. This is called the reduction potential. This is the reduction potential. From electrochemistry, I am pretty sure you can get that. Now, same thing, if at all I put it in an oxidation term, in terms of oxidation, I will write the overall reaction as M solid in M2 plus aqueous plus 2 electrons, and we usually represent this as M to M plus 2. This is oxidation potential. Let me write the Hess law for this overall reaction here. Step 1, what we need to check out is that M solid has to be converted into M gas, right? Because I have to, if at all I have to ionize, I have to have always a gaseous atom. For doing that, the amount of energy required is called atomization, delta H atom or delta HA. In short, delta HA means atomization. Second step is ionization, so which is metal gas converting into M gas 2 plus 2 electrons. So it is an there are two ionizations here. I am writing it as a sum. So this ionization is ionization 1 plus ionization 2. So there, that is the second energy which you require. Next, from there, this gaseous ion, if at all it is converting into an aqueous ion, the amount of energy released is called as hydration energy. Okay. What you would observe here, that this delta H atomization, here energy is required, so it is positive. Here also it is ionization energy which is required, which is positive. Delta H hydration is released energy, it is negative. And combining all these three, we would get the overall reaction. Check this, that is called, that is what is the importance of Hess law. So therefore what we can say, that MS changing to M2 plus aqueous plus 2 electrons, which is the delta H of overall reaction RxN, right? For that reaction, it is sum of delta HA plus ionization, okay, plus delta H of hydration. And we know that these two are positive values and these two are negative values. You don't see there is any change in the entropy. There was only one metal atom taken and now it is converting into one aqueous atom, correct? Okay. I mean, if you see overall reaction, yes, definitely there is a change in entropy because it has become aqueous form, but that is still not a gaseous form, so there is not a large amount of change in entropy. But what we can say, the reaction, whether it has to go forward, mostly depends upon how much delta H is being negative overall. Okay. So if I can say, if oxidation has to take place, if oxidation has to take place, then the magnitude of delta H hydration, right, must be greater than magnitude of delta H A plus ionization. Then definitely we say the oxidation will take place. I guess that point is clear. Right. So from here we can say that if it has to undergo oxidation, then this is what the process is, correct? So delta H hydration has to be greater than that of delta atomization plus ionization. Suppose if delta H hydration is less than that, then it will be more in the reduced form. Okay, this is the fundamental we will be using from now. So check this out. So from left to right, if we check out from left to right in periodic table in 3D series, right, what you will observe that the oxidation potential decreases. Oxidation potential decreases. Why does that decrease? Okay, there are two reasons for it. One, the sum of delta HA plus ionization increases because the metals will have more interaction and they are becoming stronger. We have seen this before also, that the metallic character increases from left to right and they will become more harder, correct? So their melting point increases. So this is increasing. So due to domination of increasing ionization values, IE values, mainly due to the domination of these values. Okay. Sorry. Hence, what we can say that E naught of reduction, if oxidation is something which is decreasing, reduction values must increase, correct? So in general increases from left to right. So if you check out from left to right, we have scandium towards zinc. Okay. So what you can say that delta H atomization plus ionization, right, minus delta H hydration. So this value, whichever has positive, will always increase in the reduction potential. If it is negative, then it will decrease in the reduction potential. Now let us see the values one by one and discuss about it. Any doubts so far? So scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper and zinc. The electrode reduction potential for the same, and reduction potential we are talking is about M plus 2 to M, right? So for scandium it is not defined because scandium does not have plus 2 oxidation state, so don't have to worry about it. Next, it is minus 1.63 volts, minus 1.18 volts, minus 0.9 volts, minus 1.18 volts, minus 0.44 volts, minus 0.28 volts, minus 0.25 volts and plus 0.34 volts. If you just recall from electrochemistry, copper has a reduction potential of plus 3.4 volts and zinc has minus 0.76. Okay. So you could see the weird behavior only comes with manganese, right, copper and zinc. Got it? So what we observe here as a graph, if at all I write, there is a nice rise here, which is making sense because from left to right, this part is dominant as ionization is increasing. Okay, then there is a dip towards manganese here. So there is a dip in the value here. Got it? And from there again there is a rise. Got it? Towards nickel here. Up to nickel there is a rise here. So let me just take this. Yeah, okay, I'll put this once again. So there is a rise up to nickel here, okay, and suddenly from nickel there is a instant rise towards copper, and from there again it is falling towards zinc. So I guess you understood how the pattern is going. This is the pattern. I hope you figured it out how it is. Yeah, right. So let us go one by one why there is different patterns here which are coming across. First, let us discuss on the manganese part, right? So you can see why manganese is happening. Mn plus 2 to Mn electrode potential, if you check it out, is less. Definitely it is less because it is supposed to increase from left to right, but it is actually suddenly decreasing. This comes with the fact that delta HA is less for manganese. If you recall, melting point of manganese was less, remember, and this is the reason, because you can see melting point is directly related to the atomization, so atomization value is less here, and since the atomization value is less here, correct, we can say that, and the ionization 2, second ionization 2 is also less. Second ionization is also less because uh, it would get a stable Mn plus 2 configuration due to stable Mn plus 2 configuration. So these are the two important reasons, because both the values are becoming less, then its hydration increases, overall hydration would be more, and it will tend to stay in plus 2 oxidation state rather in metal state. I guess this point is clear. Right. This is first one. Second thing what you can observe from this is how nickel is behaving. Okay, so if you check out E naught nickel plus 2 to nickel solid is more negative than expected, more negative than expected. Reason is because copper is increasing, so we are expecting that from you check out these values here, minus 0.44 to minus 0.2, almost 0.2 increase, but here there is only 0.03 increase, so that's quite less. It is not as much as expected. So this value is expected. We can say that E naught nickel to N plus 2 here, got it, is more is more positive due to high delta H hydration. Because the size of Ni plus 2 is very small, the delta H hydration is very high for this. Got it? In all 3D elements, if you see, nickel plus 2 and copper plus 2 has very high delta H hydration. Got it? So it has a very high value of delta H hydration uh, in 3D series. Hence, because of which you would see there is a small decrease in that value. Okay. Next, third one, copper is also becoming positive. So we can say that E naught Cu2 plus 2 Cu is more, that is copper to copper 2 plus tendency is less. It always want to be in copper, correct? The reason for this is the ionization 1 plus ionization 2 of copper is very high. It is very high value, and it dominates over its high delta H hydration. Although it has a very high delta H hydration, but its ionization will dominate over that value here. Okay, so in short, delta H atomization plus the overall ionization will be higher compared to that of delta H hydration. Because of that, it is becoming positive, and you can see that is the only positive. Copper is the only positive. Let me take here, only positive reduction potential in 3D. The last point we will see is about zinc. Why zinc has dipped? E naught Zn2 plus to zinc is more. Okay, this is more negative. Got it? Which means zinc to Zn2 plus tendency is high. Tendency is high. Two reasons for it. One, delta H atomization, okay, is less due to D10 configuration, and this we have seen in melting point also, right? Next, low second ionization, low ionization 2 value. So this makes that hydration is more than that of their atomization and ionization. Because of that reason, this zinc is again becoming quite negative. I hope you understood these points. Directly in JEE, these pointers would be asked, what are the reasons for it? So you got to remember, values are not at all important, beta, the trends are important. How the trend is changing, from where to where it is changing, where it is increasing, where it is decreasing, you got to remember. Now, the next ionization, the next electrode potential, which is second electrode potential, is about E naught m plus 3 to m plus 2. Okay. Now, let us see from left to right what is happening. From left to right, which I got from left to right, oxidation state or oxidation of m plus 2 to m plus 3 becomes difficult, due to increase in ionization 3 values. Obviously, when you go for third ionization, very high amount of energy is required. So it becomes very difficult to manage or change from plus 2 to plus 3 oxidation state. Hence, we can say that the E naught value of oxidation decreases and E naught value of reduction increases. So from left to right, usually reduction increases. Okay. So I can say that from scandium to zinc in 3D series, correct? In 3D series, we know that ionization 3 increases from left to right. Okay. So therefore, reduction potential increases. Definitely reduction potential increases. Let us just point out on the values here: scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc. Okay, and I am doing it for m plus 3 to m plus 2. This is the reduction potential I am checking out. This time scandium will show because scandium will have plus 3 oxidation state. Got it? But does it have plus 2 oxidation state? Not so much, right? So that means it is highly unstable, hence this value is minus 0, 2.08. So its plus 2 oxidation state is highly unstable, so it will tend to be in plus 3 oxidation state only. That's why the reduction value is negative. Now from this it has to only increase, right? So you can see minus 0.37. You can see there is a drastic change here because scandium does not exist in plus 2 oxidation state. Then vanadium 0.26 volts, chromium minus 0.1 volts, manganese 1.57, and iron is 0.71 in positive value, and cobalt 1.97. Cobalt is 1.97. Nickel plus 3 does not exist, copper plus 3 does not exist, and zinc plus 3 does not exist. These are the values and it is very tough to measure them. Okay. So let us see point by point what are the cases here. Got it. First you can see about chromium. First we'll discuss about chromium. Got it. Why there is a decrease from vanadium to chromium? Because it is supposed to only increase, correct? and we just at the start only we learned that Cr plus 3 is stable compared to Cr plus 2 because it gets T2G, let's get T2G3, which is half filled configuration, half filled stable configuration. This is where we started today, oxidation state for chromium, right? Right. So this is the reason. Second thing what we can see here is about manganese. Why there is a sudden increase towards manganese? Got it? As expected, you can see manganese Mn plus 3 to Mn plus 2, right, is more than expected. It's more than expected. And the reason is it has a stable configuration with Mn plus 2. Mn plus 2 is stable D5 configuration, implies ionization 3 is very high. So it would be difficult to remove the electron from D5 configuration. So we can say that, hence we can say that Mn plus 3 is strong oxidizing agent. Strong oxidizing agent because it will immediately try to reduce it to Mn plus 2. Third point, what we can see is iron. Now check out about iron. It is 0.71. See, from manganese, again it was supposed to jump, but iron has not jumped so much. So here what we can see that E naught Fe plus 3 to Fe plus 2 we are expecting, but it is less than expected. Less than expected. Now what happened here? See, when you check out Fe plus 3 configuration, it is actually a D5 configuration. And from there, if it has to become Fe plus 2 configuration, which is D6 configuration, then it would oppose that. Got it? So here D5 is stable configuration. Stable configuration. It has no other explanation because see, both of them can form octahedral complexes. One good thing is that this could be D6 configuration, which will try to bring stability. This is D5 configuration, which will try to bring stability also. D5 will have configuration of T2G3 EG2, which is half filled. D6 can have T2G6 and EG0, which is also fulfilled in T2G. But the problem is, it is an aqueous solution we are talking about, right? We are only talking about aqueous solution. So if it aqueous solution, what is H2O beta? H2O is weak ligand, weak field ligand. So which is more acceptable here? This is not acceptable. Rather, T2G4 and EG2 is acceptable, right? This is more acceptable, and which is not a very stable configuration. So hence, where does it want to stay? It would like to stay more in this form. I hope you understood that logic. Next, fourth one is about cobalt. Why cobalt has such a high value, right? So you can see that cobalt plus 3 is changing to cobalt plus 2, and its reduction potential, oxidation potential, sorry, reduction potential. Its reduction potential is 1.97, very high value comparative to others. Okay. If you see about the reduction value of water, which is 2H2O, is giving O2 plus 4H plus 4 electrons. Right. The oxidation value for this is minus 1.23 volts. Okay. Now if you sum them up, what is happening here? If you sum this up, what is happening? E naught net, which is addition of these two, will give positive value. Got it? Or E naught of what we call it as a cell, right? rather than cell. It is positive value, which means it is more spontaneous, right? Correct? It is spontaneous. Yeah, it is spontaneous. So reaction, I mean, there should be immediate oxidation of water. Got it? Oxidation हो जाना चाहिए. Cobalt plus 3 अगर लिया तो immediately we should see oxidation. But no reaction takes place. No reaction takes place here. Got it? At least at room temperature. Reason is due to high, activation energy. High activation energy. So in aqueous solution, this reaction doesn't take place. Okay. Now how is it justified here? See, cobalt plus 3 to cobalt plus 2, if you check out. So cobalt plus 2, okay, although cobalt plus 3 is also very stable configuration. So problem is cobalt plus 3 is a D6 configuration. It is a stable configuration. Alright. But if you see cobalt plus 2, which is D7 configuration, alright, this will have step. This will also be more stable in aqueous solution due to high ionization 3 value. If you consider the third ionization of cobalt plus 2, it is very high. Okay, because of that reason, it would tend to become, in the forward direction. Is that clear? Right. The last one is about the zinc. If you check out, one more problem is with the zinc. So E naught Zn3 plus to Zn2 plus. Okay, this is very high value, not easily measurable. This is a high value, very high value, due to very high IE3 value. So it will always tend to be in Zn plus 2 form only. Okay, so reduction potential will be highly positive. I guess that is clear. Right. Right. Okay, so that is about the electrode potentials. Both these electrode potentials are very important. Whatever the type of questions that are asked with reasons, you should be ready for that. Next, the next topic here, subtopic which you will see, is the nature of oxides. What are the various oxides formed and what is their nature, whether they will behave acidic, basic, and how would they appear to be. Okay. So first, what we can see, with increase in oxidation state, the the basic character of oxides decreases. Okay. Why does that decrease? See, as you go towards the higher oxidation state, its ability to accept electrons will increase, right? Correct. So that means it is a Lewis acidic character. So Lewis acidic character is increasing, means basic character is decreasing. Now some metal oxides are acidic. Some metal oxides are acidic in high oxidation states. So which means if you take that oxide and add it to water, they will become an acidic solution. And which brings to the case of intermediate oxidation state. So in case of intermediate oxidation state, which is mostly +3, +4 and +5, okay, states containing oxides are amphoteric. The low oxidation state, which is +1, +2, are relatively basic. Okay. Now, one very important example is about vanadium. When it comes to vanadium, VO and V2O4. Okay. Both of these are basic in nature, which means +2 and +4. Both of them are basic. While V2O5, which is vanadium pentoxide with +5 oxidation state, this is +4 and +2. This is amphoteric. Amphoteric. I guess that point is clear. Right. Now, how it is showing amphoteric behavior, you can check it out. If you treat that with OH minus, if that treat that with OH minus, it will act like an acid and becomes H3VO4. Okay, H3VO4, similar to H3PO4. Similar to H3PO4. Just like a reaction P2O5, when you treat that with OH minus, what would happen? It will become H3PO4, correct? So which means it is showing acidic character or not. Okay, similar way here also. Next, if you treat that with HCl, it would become VO2 plus and Cl minus, like a salt. Correct? So which means it is acting like a base. Okay, so here it is acting like a basic character. And in this amphoteric also, which is more characteristic, acidic characteristic is more compared to that of basic characteristic, because this is mostly neutral, but this is still acidic. Can you see this concept now? Right. So amphoteric में भी उसका acidic character थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा रहेगा as compared to that of its basic character. But अगर question दिया है whether it is amphoteric or not, you will definitely do that. V2O5 is amphoteric in nature. Next, this is about vanadium. Second we'll see is about chromium. Chromium will have CrO, Cr2O3 and CrO6, which are most occurring oxidation states. I am not taking others. So CrO, here it is basic, having +2 oxidation state, while CrO is amphoteric. This is amphoteric in nature. Okay. And CrO3 is acidic with +6 oxidation state, +3 and this. Okay. How it is acidic? You know that if you add it to water, CrO3, if you add it to water, it would become H2CrO4, just like H2SO4, and it is acidic in nature. Okay, and this is acidic in nature. Is that clear? Just like when you add SO3 to H2O, what would happen? We will get H2SO4, right? The same thing will happen here also. Okay. Right. Third one is about manganese. When it comes to Mn2O7, Mn2O7 will act acidic. It will act acidic. Again, how can we showcase that? If you add it to H2O, it would become HMnO4, just like HClO4. Okay, just like how HClO4 is perchloric acid. So what would this become? This is permanganic acid. Permanganic acid. Okay. And this Mn2O7, in generally what you will see, Mn2O7 is highly covalent. Highly covalent. So it do not dissolve in water that easily. Correct? But it will dissolve, but dissolve slowly. And this is called green oil liquid. It is called green oil liquid. Okay, just remember its terminology. It's called green oil liquid. Right. Last thing, the fourth thing we will check out is about zinc. Zinc, ZnO, is amphoteric. It is amphoteric. We can showcase that when you treat that with HCl, correct, it will act like a base and will become ZnCl2 plus H2O. So it has become more like an acid base reaction. And if you treat that with NaOH, we know that it will become Na2ZnO2, correct, which is zincate, sodium zincate, correct. So that is how it is acting like an acid as well as base. Any doubt so far? Right. So that is the nature of the oxides for 3D proofs. So you should be able to figure out which of them are acidic, which of them are basic. See, others, like I said, general cases +2 oxidation normally is more basic. So, and highest oxidation state like +6, +7 are always acidic in nature. Got that? Rest all amphoteric, whatever I have listed, only those are amphoteric. Please remember that, okay? Not all of them. Only V2O5, Cr2O3 and ZNO. These three are only amphoteric in nature, right? Okay. The next very important aspect in D block is the color of compounds. How do you get various colors in the compounds? Right. Now, most of the D block elements, write down that most of D block compounds, most of the D block compounds are colored in nature. Are colored in nature, and precisely due to unpaired electrons. Due to unpaired electrons. Okay. When unpaired electrons are present, usually we will see DD type of transition taking place. Correct. So we usually say that electron jumps from T to G to EG and so on. That is how we usually go for it. Okay. Now, next point which you need to check out, a compound is colored. Compound is colored in nature. Compound is colored in nature if it absorbs radiation in visible region. If it absorbs radiation in visible region, obviously, and it exhibits complementary color of absorbed one, right? Complementary color of absorbed light, and we have seen the complementary wheel also how it is, right? And complementary color CC will always be equal to white light minus the absorbed light, right? Okay, so complementary color in books also given as transmitted color or transmitted light. Okay, there are certain rules about electrons, how which type of a transition usually takes place. Okay, so rules of electron transition. So we got to just check out with this. Although these rules are not directly asked in exam, okay, we need to know, we need to understand this so that it becomes easy for us to know, when does the transition takes place. This first rule is called Laporte's selection rule. It's called Laporte selection rule, which tells us electron transition is possible if delta L is plus or minus 1. Delta L as in change in the values of what do you say, transition in the shapes. For example, okay, S to S possible है क्या? It is not possible. P to P not possible. Okay, P to D, okay, D to D, S to D. Okay, let us look over it. What is the delta L values in this? It is 0, 0, 1, correct? And DD transition 0, S to D 2, है ना? S to D or D to S, which one? D का वैल्यू 2 minus 2 है ना बेटा? Correct. It won't happen that. Yeah. Correct. Okay. So this is also minus 2. So this won't. So out of this, which is possible? Only this is possible. Rest are all not possible. I guess you understood that. Yeah. So electron कहीं पे भी jump होगा ज़रूरी नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं होता है. Okay. Only certain orbitals में ही jump हो सकता है. Got it? So what do we say here? That is electron transition between the same symmetry, which means या तो जेरेड हो सकते हैं या अनजेरेड हो सकते हैं. इफ यू रिमेंबर आई टोल्ड यू अबाउट जेरेड एंड अनजेरेड. या इन बोथ द ऑर्बिटल्स, ओके, इट इज फॉरबिडन. इसमें इलेक्ट्रॉन जंप नहीं हो सकता है. राइट. बट डी में होता है ना, डी ऑर्बिटल्स, okay, transition, dd orbital transitions are like special cases. So they are called Laporte forbidden. They are Laporte forbidden cases. Okay, is that clear beta? So dd में होता है, वो एक ही एक्सेप्शन है. अंडरस्टूड. बाकी कभी भी ऐसे नहीं होगा कि S से S हो गया या S से P हो गया. गॉट इट? S से P हो सकता है क्या? मैंने वो लिखा नहीं शायद. S से P लिखता हूँ इधर. कैन वी हैव S to P बेटा? क्यों नहीं? ये 0 है, ये 1 है, तो डिफरेंस 1 ही तो है. S से P हो सकता है ना, P से S, S से P. ठीक है? You got that beta? What is the rule? Check out the rule properly. The delta L value should be either +1 or -1, not a 0, not more than that. Yeah? It can't be -2, it can't be +2, it can't be 0. It has to be either +1 or -1. Okay? Right. JEE में एक बार क्वेश्चन आया था that HgHe helium +2 is helium plus is present and electron is present in 3s orbital. Okay, 3s orbital, and he said which of the possible transition can take place. Electron अभी 3s में है और उसने पूछा कि which of the possible transitions are possible, और options दिया है उसमें. he has given 2p, okay, 3d, 2s and 1s. क्या आंसर होना चाहिए? किस में होगा बेटा? हाँ, 2p ना, बाकी किसी में नहीं होगा. ठीक है? हाँ. क्यों? क्योंकि देखो अकॉर्डिंग टू लेपोर्ट्स रूल क्या होना चाहिए? प्लस और -1 ही होना चाहिए, है ना? अब समझा कैसे क्वेश्चन पूछते जेईई में. ठीक है? राइट. सो now suppose if there is an electron present in T2g, this is T2g orbital, right? then this electron may migrate, oh इधर दो ही रहते हैं, so this electron might migrate here, got it, T2G to EG. I guess this is clear, right? So here the electron will migrate, and this is Laporte forbidden. Although it happens, although it is not following Laporte, it is still happening. So it will absorb the energy from T2G and enter into EG. And from there, because it is absorbing some energy, it will show an reflected light. So that's how you will get across it, right? So I'm not writing the spin wheel again, but you know the colors, right? Complementary colors kya hote hain. Okay, right? So in short, if there is an h nu energy coming, this is the energy which is coming, it absorbs that energy and excite to EG orbital, and that's how the transition will take place. This is rule number 1. Second rule is spin selection rule. Spin selection rule. Okay. Spin selection rule, as in, delta S should be 0, which means the total spin, spin should be, plus or minus half hoga. If the spin is plus or minus half, correct, then only this will take place. What I meant to say, suppose if we have T2G orbital and EG orbital, if spin is plus half here, got it, if it is plus half here, okay, then as you go to the higher orbit here, this can stay both plus half, this can stay, this way, or it can stay the opposite way also, but most of the time it will stay the same spin. So which means it is showing plus to be plus half or minus half, which means delta S is not equal to 0. Delta S is not equal to 0. So again, when it comes to DD transition are spin allowed. They are spin allowed transition. Got it? They are not spin restricted. They are spin allowed transitions. Okay. So in short, whenever we take electron from one orbital to other orbital, you should be able to say whether they will go for spin allowed or not, or whether they will go for transition or not. Now, think about this. When it comes to DD transition, एक तो वो स्पिन अलो कर रहा है, मतलब उसका डेल्टा एस जीरो नहीं हो रहा है, या तो प्लस हाफ या तो माइनस हाफ होगा, ओके, होना चाहिए कायदे से, एंड इट कैन गो फॉर लैपोर्ट्स फॉरबिडन. ये आइडिया कब आता है? देखो, इफ यू टेक D5 which is weak field ligand, okay, which is weak field ligand, now you can see that 1 2 3 4 5, this is how it is, correct? Now from here, if it enters to this orbital from T2G, if it enters to EG, then it has to pair, na? It can't stay the same way because it will violate the Pauli's exclusion principle. Correct. Well, here it is Laporte forbidden for sure, correct, but it is also spin forbidden here. It is also spin forbidden because delta S is becoming 0. क्या delta S 0 होना हो सकता है DD transition के लिए? नहीं, because DD transition will only happen with spin allowed, correct? Hence इतने unpaired electron होने के बावजूद भी this is colorless species D5. क्यों? बिकॉज स्पिन फॉरबिडन हो रहा है. समझा? अभी अनपेड होना ही नहीं, उसमें ये भी चेक करना है कि वेदर दे कैन मेक अ ट्रांसिशन और नॉट. So here it is pretty clear that it cannot make a transition, so we can say that it is colorless. Right, beta. Got it? Or we can say, what we can say, that spin forbidden is not a great contributor. Let me tell you that. So spin forbidden is not great contributor as compared to Laporte forbidden. So hence we may get pale colors. In case if we have D phi, we may get pale colors or colorless. Okay. I guess this point is clear, beta. Just in short, if at all I just put for the wheel once again here. Okay. Check out in the wheel what we know. Right. So in here, let me show that. So from here, if we take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 segments, हमको नहीं किया था. So this is a 5 segments were there, in which this is V I B, okay, then BG, then G, then YG, then Y, then O, R, and purple. PR as in purple. Okay, this is how this. Okay, so it's better you learn how things are happening here. These are the complementary colors. Now let us focus on DD transition first. DD transition cases. We'll strictly stick to NCERT in this. So titanium H2O 6 plus 3. Plus 3 means it is living with one unpaired electrons. Okay, so its color is violet. If it is violet color, what does it absorb? It absorbs yellow green. Very good. Okay. These are the type of questions that could be asked. All right. So like this, let us just put all the colors here, and I'm only writing aqua solution only. So scandium plus 3, titanium plus 3, vanadium plus 3, chromium plus 3, manganese plus 2, manganese plus 3 also, iron plus 3, then we have iron plus 2, cobalt plus 2, copper plus 2, zinc plus 2. Okay, nickel नहीं लिखा ना, nickel plus 2, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc. Yeah. Now let us see this. Plus 3, definitely it is colorless. There are no unpaired electrons at all. Titanium, we just saw that it is violet color. Vanadium is green color. Okay. Chromium is again violet color. Plus 3, aqua solution. Remember this. Okay, chromium, we are only talking about aqua solution. Yeah. Next, manganese plus 2 is pale light, or what we call it as buff or pink color. Pale pink. Pale pink, also known as buff color. Yeah. And Mn plus 3, yeah, Mn plus 3 is violet, Fe plus 3 is yellow, pale yellow. Fe plus 3 always give pale yellow solution. Fe plus 2 is green. Fe plus 2 is green. Remember that from green vitriol, FeSO4.7H2O. Remember, green vitriol बोलते हैं उसको. Cobalt plus 2 pink. Cobalt plus 2 is pink. Nickel plus 2 is green, and copper plus 2 is blue. Zinc plus 2 is colorless. No unpaired electron here. Okay. So in short, if at all I put, you can see when it comes to violet, it is titanium plus 3, chromium plus 3, got it, and manganese plus 3, right? And when it comes to pink, case of pink, you can see Mn plus 2 and cobalt plus 3, cobalt plus 2. Green, it is vanadium plus 3, Fe plus 2, and nickel plus 2. These are green in color. Okay. Only one color which is different is Fe plus 3, which is yellow. Rest all are paired up. Okay. So 2 pink, 3 green, and 4 violet. कोई violet भूल गया क्या मैं? I remember it that way. That is violet. How many are there? 1, 2, 3. 3 only, right? Right. Okay. Okay. Only 3. 3 violet. 3 green, 2 pink, 3 violet, 1 yellow. Is that clear बेटा? Okay. So उसको थोड़ा सा रटना पड़ेगा. इसको ऐसे याद कर लो, यहाँ से ग्रुप करके याद कर लो. Violet कितने, green कितने, pink कितने, Fe plus 3 कितने. Yeah. Right. Now, like I said, when it comes to chromium, it is actually the aqueous solution what I am talking about. So chromium plus 3 aqueous solution is violet. Yeah. Right. Violet का spelling VIO होता है ना? No, sorry. Yeah. And that is changing to, you know, suppose in case if at all we hydrolyze this, we'll get H2O5 and OH minus. मतलब एक OH आ गया, इसके अंदर अगर एक OH आ गया +2, right? Then in that case this will become green color plus H plus. Okay. This is on hydrolysis. So इस complex को हम लोग hydrolyze करेंगे, so then it will convert into green color. Okay. Otherwise, if it is like a crystal, it is violet color. Got that? So far, whatever color we have studied, right? This is all because of which case here? This is all because of DD transition. Okay. Now we will see color change due to charge transfer. Color change due to charge transfer. First type of a color change due to charge transfer is called as ligand to metal charge transfer. That is ligand to metal charge transfer, also known as LMCT. Now what happens in LMCT is that some compounds are colored in nature. Okay, that is electron transition takes place from its ligand to vacant orbital, from ligand to vacant orbital of metal in VR, in visible region. This type of a thing happens. LMCT usually is seen with usually seen in high oxidation state. For example, best example है KMnO4. If you check out KMnO4 here, manganese will have double bond O, double bond O, O minus and K plus. Manganese is at +7 oxidation state, which means it is 4s 0 and 3d also 0. So there are no unpaired electrons here, correct? So since there are no unpaired electrons, right, what I can expect, there is definitely no DD transition. There is no DD transition here, right? But still we will see it has intense purple color. It has an intense purple color. Okay, what is happening? Oxygen is kind of a ligand here to manganese. Okay, so the electrons present in oxygen, you can see this O minus, correct? So that will donate electrons, and those electrons will get excitation to manganese. Oxygen gets excited to manganese. Now, where are electrons in oxygen? In p orbitals, correct? From p, where is it going? To the empty d orbital, because d to 0 hai abhi. Manganese does not have any d orbital here, which means it is following Laporte's rule, where delta L is 1, है ना? So +1, and it is also following spin selection rule. Okay, so hence we can say it has an intense color. Is this clear, beta? Right? So जब दोनों ही rule follow कर रहे, so then we will have intense color. I hope now you understood. DD transition बहुत अच्छा color नहीं देता है. The reason is it is Laporte's forbidden. But LMCT will always give very intense color because it is Laporte's rule followed. Okay. Same thing you would see K2Cr2O7. Right? This would be observed as orange. Okay, very bright orange powder. Got it? Same way if you check out K2 CrO4, it is a shiny yellow color. Got it? K2 MnO4, got it? It is a green color crystal. Got it? FeSCN thrice, got it? हाँ, blood red color, remember? Blood red color. इसमें भी क्या हो रहा है? सल्फर के p ऑर्बिटल के इलेक्ट्रॉन्स आयरन के d ऑर्बिटल में जा रहे हैं. सो दैट इज ऑल्सो Laporte's rule followed. Okay. Next, CrO3 is also colored, red colored. Got it? And if you check out Na4 Fe CN5 NOS, okay, this is also violet solution. Here two things are happening here, correct? DD transition भी हो रहा है, and electron from nitrogen will also enter from p to d orbital of iron, because of which it is showing a very bright yellowish solution. Okay, same way you may have come across iron H2O and NO. Remember it is a 3 electron donor. तो इलेक्ट्रॉन कहाँ से कहाँ जा रहा है? P से D में जा रहा है ना, right? Polarity is +2. So that is the reason why this is forming brown ring, and we use it as a brown ring test, correct? Right. So this is forming a brown ring complex. अच्छा सा bright brown color दिखेगा. Why? Because it is also a ligand metal charge transfer. I am not saying DD transfer नहीं हो रहा है. I am saying DD transfer का intensity कम होता है as compared to LMCT. So जो भी color आता है वो mainly किसके वजह से आता है? LMCT की वजह से. Is that clear? Right. So within LMCT, so that means color is coming due to charge transfer. So charge transfer, second case is that when metal ligand charge transfer happens, so which means metal to ligand, metal to ligand charge transfer. How does this happen? If metal is electron rich, suppose if this metal is electron rich, got it, and ligand is an acceptor, then this can take place. Okay, for instance, if I take iron and bipyridine, iron bipyridine 3 plus 2. Okay, so in this what happens, electron in bipyridine, show that here, this is the bipyridine, how it is connected, N. Yeah. Now if you check out, it has a pi star orbital here. Okay, N would have a pi star orbital, and iron which has an electron present in it. Okay, कोई d ऑर्बिटल में इलेक्ट्रॉन होगा जो कि ट्रांसफर हो रहा है पाई स्टार ऑर्बिटल में. अब ये ट्रांसफर किधर से हो रहा है, d से p में हो रहा है ना, क्योंकि नाइट्रोजन के पास तो सिर्फ p ऑर्बिटल होता है. सो दैट इज ऑल्सो लेपर्ड फॉलोड, है ना. So which means all pi acceptors are colored because of this. Got it? So therefore it is observed that this is red in color, intense red in color, for the same reason. Okay, same way if you have FeCO5, यहाँ पे भी तो synergic bonding ही हो रहा है, correct, where CO is a pi acceptor, so hence that is also going to follow. Similarly, cobalt bipyridyl thrice, okay, with +2 oxidation state, that is also colored. So these are few cases जहाँ पे भी आपको ऐसे दिखता है where there is a electron accepting tendency, they will always show MLCT. Okay. And third type of charge transfer which you will see is MMCT, means metal to metal, metal to metal charge transfer, metal to metal charge transfer. Now best example is this Fe KFe with FeCN6, FeCN6, with this having +3 and here it has +2, +3 and +2. Okay, so this actually, if you this complex, if you check out as a overall molecule, it is actually +3 of 4 connected with FeCN6 of 3 times. Correct. So this is Prussian blue, Prussian blue color, very important for identifying +2 and +3 irons. Okay, so this is what happens when it comes to this. Okay, now here also it is because of that Leppert's rule, we would observe that electron can transfer from iron +2 to +3 easily. Okay, right. So my idea is for you to understand चार्ज ट्रांसफ़र किस किस केसेस में होता है. आपको ये सारे एग्जाम्पल्स जेई में ऐसा आ चुका है कि ये सारों को कंबाइन करके एग्जाम्पल दिया है, लाइक विच ऑफ देम विल शो चार्ज ट्रांसफ़र. ओके, ये जेई में 2 बार आ चुका है क्वेश्चन. सो आपको ये एग्जाम्पल्स देके समझ में आ जाना चाहिए कि दैट देयर इज अ चार्ज ट्रांसफ़र हैपनिंग हियर.